I knew it all along, you son of a bitch. And I'm finna beat your ass, Cobrina. Don't fucking play with me, fool. I seen that shit with my own eyes. And I'm finna dust your ass, bitch. And I mean that. And I mean that, bitch. You been lying, ho. You a liar.
That right there is the voice of a woman threatening to beat her wife. Recordings like this one piled up for over a year with loud screaming matches, threats, and promises of what she'd do. Everybody around them heard it. Then one ordinary morning, it stopped being a threat, and a wife was lying dead in her own driveway while her baby watched. Before we get into who these women were, look at what investigators ended up showing in court.
Look closely. For the first time, we're seeing video of a woman retrieving a gun moments before she murdered her wife.
That footage shows the killer calmly walking back to her car, picking up a gun, and heading inside to take the life of the woman she once called her wife. One quiet morning, one pull of a trigger, and a whole family was changed forever. Now hear the other side of it. This is the sister who got left behind.
I don't think I'll never be okay, you know, because this is so devastating to me.
That pain is real, and by the time we finish, you are going to understand exactly why so many people are still angry about how all of this was handled. Because the woman who pulled that trigger had already been locked up once for coming after this same victim. She was out on bond, she was ordered to stay far away, and she still ended up close enough to do this. So let's break it down. First, who these two women were to each other. Then how every single warning sign got ignored. And finally, what happened when it all landed in a courtroom almost 3 years later. The two of them got together back in 2016, and on the surface it looked like a real love story. They came up together, posted matching outfits, told the whole world how in love they were, and plenty of folks knew them as wives. Both women had roots in Memphis, Tennessee before they made their way down to Atlanta to chase a better life.
Years before Cornisha moved to Atlanta, she met Atlanta native Shakayla Perkins, which the relationship started out to be good. However, just like any toxic relationship, all things begin to get bad between the two.
But behind those happy pictures, the whole thing was already rotting from the inside. Pretty early on, one of Shakia's exes reached out to Cornisha with proof that Shakia had been cheating, and from there it slid into lies, heartbreak, and before long, real violence. The deeper problem underneath all of it was jealousy. Shakia could not stand watching Cornisha grow into her own woman. The more Cornisha leveled up and built something for herself, the more Shakia burned with envy. Friends sighed, family sighed, and people were already begging Cornisha to walk away while she still could, for her own sake and for her kids. By 2021, the relationship had fallen apart and the two had separated, but Shakia was not the type to let go quietly. And that right there, the refusal to accept that it was finished, is what turned a messy breakup into something nobody could ever take back. If you take only one thing away from this part, let it be this: everybody saw it coming. The violence did not appear out of thin air on the morning Cornisha died. It built up, piece by piece, for more than a year, and this is the kind of energy she was living with day to day.
And I mean that, bitch. You been lying, ho. You a liar. I'm finna beat you now.
It got physical fast. In September of 2021, Shakia rammed Cornisha's car with her own vehicle and tried to force her clean off the road. Just 2 days after that, she kicked in the front door of Cornisha's home and cracked the frame, showing up uninvited to check whether another person was inside. Later that same month, Shakia set fire to 2 of Cornisha's Mercedes-Benz and a Jeep, sitting right there in the driveway, and the flames spread far enough to damage the house too. And on top of the fires and the attacks came the threats, and this is the part that will give you chills. Cornisha handed the police screenshots of texts where Shakia laid out exactly what she planned to do. One of them read, "Soon you will be dead and I'll be in jail, and that's fine." Another one said, "I'm going for first degree, not second degree. Stamp that." She was basically writing out a murder before it ever happened. All of that finally caught up with her. In October of 2021, Shakia was arrested and charged with aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, terroristic threats, and first-degree arson. Now here is where so many people get heated. A judge gave her a bond of $70,000 and ordered her to stay at least 200 yards away from Cornisha.
Shakia was out on bond totaling $70,000 on charges of aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, terroristic threats, felony, and arson first degree.
The Fulton County District Attorney's Office, led by Fani Willis, fought hard about letting her out, but the judge released her anyway. Cornisha went and got herself a restraining order too. None of it slowed Shakia down even a little. She kept stalking, showing up, and that order that was supposed to protect Cornisha turned out to be nothing more than a piece of paper. Things went quiet for a stretch, and the two even reconnected for a moment around Valentine's Day in 2022, with Shakia posting about their love like nothing had ever happened. But the abuse came right back, and Cornisha walked away from him once more. Their whole relationship ran on that same loop. Breakups, then sweet talk, then more violence. By this point, Cornisha had a new boyfriend, a new home, and was moving on with her life for good. Shakia could not take it. 2 months before the end, Cornisha told a friend that Shakia had tried to run her off the road again, and the harassment had cranked right back up the moment Shakia found out about the new man. And then there was a strange little sign the night before it all happened. On November 15th, the evening right before the murder, Shakia posted a message on Facebook about starting again and forgetting the past. In the moment, it probably looked like nothing at all. Looking back on it now, a lot of people feel like it was a quiet warning that something terrible was already in motion. Then came the morning of November 16th, 2022.
On the morning of November the 16th, 2022, after Nisha put her 3 daughters on the bus, she was met at her driveway by Shaquilla Perkins when she was fatally shot in front of her young son.
Cornisha had just put her 3 daughters on the school bus, the same as any other day. Then, right in the middle of an argument outside her own home, Shakia stormed off, walked to her car, came back with a gun in her left hand, and shot Cornisha in the head right there in the driveway.
Shakia Perkins shot out of the house she shared with her wife, Cornisha Perkins, stalked to her car, and came back with a gun in her left hand. Then Shakia shot Cornisha in the head and killed her.
And the part that makes this even harder to sit with is who was around when it happened. Cornisha's 2-year-old son was standing right there and watched his own mother get killed. Her mother, the children's grandmother, was inside that house too, but she was still recovering from a recent stroke and was in no condition to jump up and stop any of it. So a baby boy and a sick grandmother were the ones left behind in that home with the horror of what just happened. Within hours, Shakia was booked into jail and charged with murder, possession of a firearm, and cruelty to children.
Shaquilla Perkins was booked a few hours later at South Fulton Jail and charged with murder, possession of a firearm, and cruelty to children in a 3rd degree.
By the time the officers pulled up, there wasn't much mystery left to solve. Shakia was caught nearby still holding the gun, and during questioning she confessed, admitting she grabbed the weapon and fired, even while she tried to claim she didn't plan it out. The thing is, the evidence didn't leave her much room to hide. The home's own security cameras had already recorded her walking to her car, picking up that handgun, and heading back inside right before the shots rang out. Add in those old threatening texts from 2021 and an autopsy showing that Cornisha had been shot more than once, and the people building this case didn't have to guess at a single thing. They had it on video and in writing. Now, before we get into how it all played out in court, you have to understand who Shakia actually took from this world. Because Cornisha was so much more than a victim in a news story. She grew up in Memphis and made the move to Atlanta around 2020 for a fresh start, and she used to say it was the best decision she ever made. She was a hustler in the truest meaning of the word. She worked as a tax preparer and ran her own esthetician business on the side, helping other women feel good about themselves while she stacked her own money. Pink was her whole signature, so much so that she was planning to buy a pink food truck just to add another stream of income. And by the fall of 2022, she had bought her very first home, a place that was all hers. She was carrying a heavy load too. Back in June of 2022, the father of her only son lost his life to gun violence, so she was holding her whole family together through real grief at the same time she was building her dream. Friends and family called her a strong woman and a boss mom, the kind of person who lit up a room and pulled everybody around her along with her. That is who got erased in that driveway.
The case itself dragged on for almost 3 years, slowed down by court backlogs and fights over the evidence. Then in July of 2025, Shakia finally gave up the fight and pleaded guilty to murdering Cornisha. She was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole, which means she will not even be considered for release for about 30 years. As part of that deal, the older charges from 2021 were dropped, and just like that, it was over. She is now sitting in a Georgia prison serving out that time. Her own defense did not even try to paint her as some kind of monster.
The defense said, "My client has never been in real trouble before. You know, this was a toxic relationship that I think both families just wished that they had gone their separate ways."
But for a whole lot of people watching, that explanation did not sit right at all, because the warning signs had been flashing bright red for more than a year. The district attorney made that exact point about the bond that let Shakia walk free in the first place.
Office opposed bond in this case. Cases involving domestic violence often involve ongoing danger to the victim.
South Fulton Police Chief Keith Meadows put it even plainer. He said that violent behavior like this is progressive, meaning it only grows worse with time. He flat out said that given the history between these two women, we would not want to see an individual get out on such a low bond. And when somebody asked him the hardest question of all, whether Cornisha should still be alive today, he answered, "I would think so." And here's the part that should make every single one of us pay attention. What happened to Cornisha is not some one-of-a-kind horror story. It fits a pattern that keeps repeating in same-sex relationships where jealousy and control turn deadly and the warning signs get brushed off like they mean nothing. Take the case of Tawny Marie Baird out in Ogden, Utah. Tawny was a 21-year-old woman dating another woman named Victoria Mendoza, who was also 21. Friends said their relationship was volatile and full of arguments fueled by jealousy, the same poison that ran through Cornisha and Shakia. Back in 2014, after a Halloween party, the two of them got into a fight inside a car about cheating. That argument blew up out of nowhere, and Victoria stabbed Tawny 46 times, killing her right there in the passenger seat.
Judge sentenced a woman in the stabbing death of her girlfriend. The victim's family say they hope something good will come of this tragedy. Sandra Yee has the story.
The family of Tawny Baird says they didn't know she was in an abusive relationship. They hope her death will help raise awareness about domestic violence.
I wouldn't wish this any parent, any father, any mother to lose their child.
Casey Baird says the past year
It's just so painful.
has been a recurring nightmare.
But my daughter was everything to me, my only child.
21-year-old Tawny Baird and her girlfriend Victoria Mendoza lived with Baird's mother.
We took her in and treated her like a family member, you know, just with open arms.
Dana Gunn says the couple had a volatile relationship.
They would have like their little fights, but it was never like really anything.
But no one expected this.
46 times she stabbed her, nonstop, very fast, very violent.
In court, Mendoza kept her head down. She told the judge she has no excuse for what she did.
I really have nothing to say. I'm the wrong, I'm the monster here, so.
But Baird's family says Mendoza lacks remorse.
No, I'm sorry, no, nothing. So it still bothers me so much.
The family says they'll fight to keep Mendoza in prison for a long time.
16 to life. If I live that long, I'll certainly be at every parole hearing.
They also hope to educate others about domestic violence.
Talk to your children, okay? If you see anything, you hear of anything, don't take it lightly. Report it, stay on it.
It'll be up to the parole board to determine just how long Mendoza will stay in prison.
And just like Shakia, Victoria later pleaded guilty to murder and was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole, which means she will not even be considered for release for about 30 years. 2 different cities and basically the same exact story. A relationship everybody could see was dangerous, a jealous partner who could not accept that it was over, and a young woman who ended up dead because nobody stepped in hard enough or early enough. Domestic violence between same-sex partners happens just as often as it does anywhere else, but it far too often gets treated like a simple mutual fight instead of the life or death danger that it really is. That is what makes Cornisha Butler's story matter so much. She did everything she was supposed to do. She called the police, she got the restraining order, she left, and she built herself a brand new life from the ground up. And it still wasn't enough, because the people with the power to keep Shakia locked away chose a $70,000 bond instead. Cornisha was a mother, a businesswoman, a daughter, and a friend, and she should still be here with us today. So if you take just one thing away from all of this, let it be this. When somebody shows you who they are through threats, through fire, and through their fists, believe them the very first time. And if you ever see this same thing happening to someone you love, please do not wait around hoping it gets better on its own. Speak up, push, and get them help while there is still time. Because by the time a story like this one makes the news, it is already far too late.
I gotta think of a way to get a fat ass by tomorrow. I gotta think of a way to get a fat ass by tomorrow. I could do what?
So you want to get married in your 20s?
Yeah.
You think you could be monogamous, though?
Yeah.
Do you know what monogamous mean, Kodak?
No.
I know, exactly.
Listen, the other night I fell asleep on the phone with a girl.
Is that the one?
I hope so.
Okay.
This is Bernicia Lightfoot, a 26-year-old aspiring rapper from Cleveland, Ohio, known to her growing fan base as Alata. On July 21st, 2023, her body would be discovered in a wooded area, wrapped and discarded like garbage after being shot multiple times by the one person who was supposed to protect her.
Good evening, and thank you for being with us at 5. I'm Courtney Gooseman.
And I'm Delon Dillard. The suspect made his first court appearance today, pleading not guilty to a murder charge. Tonight, police are working to piece together the details surrounding her murder.
News 5 anchor Tracy Carlos has what we know right now.
Friends of Bernicia Lightfoot say she was committed to helping others.
She was a magnificent human being, and it's a shame that her light was put out in this way.
She was learning to help others when we first introduced you to Lightfoot back in 2018. She was a member of the Wolfpack Gun Response Team Cleveland, which was part of the Stop the Bleed initiative started by the feds.
I like this class because it's helpful, help me to do anything I could do at any moment. You know what I'm saying? The best, thing I could do when no one else is around at the time.
I was her trainer, and she was trained to save lives, to stop knife wounds, to stop the bleeding in knife wounds, gunshot wounds, and also bomb wounds. And she was one of my brightest students.
That light darkened last week. Late Tuesday night, Bedford Police Deputy Chief Rick Sutz told me a concerned family member called police asking for a welfare check.
They hadn't heard from her. Her birthday was coming up that day, and it was very unusual for her to not make contact every day.
Bedford police were concerned, too, when they discovered her cell phone tossed on the ground in Cleveland and when they arrived at her Bedford apartment.
We found what appeared to be a crime scene with blood. No one was home at the residence, and that's where the investigation started.
That investigation led to her boyfriend, Michael Rorty Nugent.
He has a lengthy criminal record. He's been in and out of prison, been in and out of jail.
Bedford police arrested Nugent Friday. Police say he led them to her body in Slavic Village a short time later. In 2018, Nugent was in the Cuyahoga County Jail when he claimed corrections officers beat him and sprayed him with pepper spray because he asked for an extra carton of milk. He filed a lawsuit in court. The county dished out more than $100,000 2 years later to settle that lawsuit. This morning, he was in a different courtroom.
You were cited on 7/21/23. You're charged with murder.
Tonight, he's locked up on a murder charge, but police say more charges in connection to this case are expected.
Bitch, you think it's small. We need to be thinking big. You need to be thinking big, bitch. You need to be thinking big, bitch. Think big, bitch.
It's your girl, about to swipe up now. I'm gonna get that new Vicarious, my new single that just dropped on all streaming platforms. The link is in the bio. Make sure y'all tap in with me. Go check that out. It's streaming on all streaming platforms: YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify. Tap in with your girl and go get that.
But before we uncover what led to this devastating moment, let me take you back to where this all began.
Y'all won't catch me spending the night at no man's house. The last time I spent the night at some man's house, I heard bitches laughing in the pillow. I was asleep, I heard bitches like kiki kiki kiki.
I am not a pimp, I am a Mac, and I don't get no bitch no money back. No bitch no money back.
All right, let's see if TikTok can guess what my zodiac sign is. It really got it. What?
Bernicia Lightfoot wasn't just another aspiring artist trying to make it in Cleveland's competitive rap scene. She was building something real, something that mattered to her community. Born on July 19, 1997, Bernicia grew up in Cleveland, watching the struggles around her, absorbing the harsh realities that would later fuel her music. By the time she was just 18 years old, she was already working demanding factory jobs alongside grown men, grinding day after day to support herself and chase her dreams.
Yo, what's up? It's your girl Alana. I appreciate all the love everybody been giving me and the support. I just want to tap in with y'all and tell y'all to make sure y'all swipe up and go get that Vicarious. The link is in the bio. It's on all streaming platforms, as y'all know already. I appreciate all the love.
It's my daddy, J. Carter trap.
Long live V-Roy. Long live all my gangsters. Long live Rock. Long live Spaz. It's for all my fallen soldiers. Long live Ruger. Asking God, please forgive me for my sins and my bins. Talking to myself like Lotto, we gon' win. Like Lotto, we gon' win. Asking God, please forgive me for my sins and my bands. Talking to myself like Lotto, we gon' win. Lost it all and got it back, and now I do it all again. You know I'm different, had to switch it cause these bitches ain't my friends. Don't call me bougie cause I fuck around and still be in the hood. If they let me beat myself, I promise we gon' still be good. Praying for a new soul, praying for a new pope. Let a nigga try me, I'ma turn him to a new ghost. I just count the phantom, about to ride it like a new hoe. And you know I'm gifted, young and pretty and ambitious. No, I ain't sound still independent, think I'm slipping, baby. I'm just getting started, made it farther than they said I was gonna make it. Now they bother, put it on my father. Taking off of bitches, they wanna listen. Now they see the vision. Now they see the vision. Now they see the vision. They wanna listen.
LaJuan Films, get plugged in.
Bossed up, now it's fuck a nigga. I wish I never would've fucked the nigga. And if I see him, might bust the nigga. Hit the block and count it up while you stuck, lil' nigga. And when you get it, stack it up. Don't be frontin' niggas. Keep a couple Glocks on you cause it's up with niggas. Keep a couple Glocks on you cause it's up with niggas. I'ma show these little bitty bitches how to elevate. Fuck a nigga, get a bag, make them bitches hate. And I'm all about the bag, and I'm all about my bitches. I ain't going outside, so you know it's fuck a nigga. Got Gucci on my feet, remember rockin' heel fit. I just signed a new deal, so them checks getting bigger. Checks getting bigger. Just signed a new deal, so them checks getting bigger. Came a long way and got a long way to go. Lil' hoe was talking shit, I had to going up the skull. I ain't never had a thing, had to get it on my own. Made a promise if I make it, I never sell my soul. All these fucking lost souls, don't nobody got control. Popping pills, getting drunk, and they wonder why we stuck. Don't nobody wanna listen, trying to make her pay attention. Obama was a blessing, but he really was a lesson. Need a Nipsey, need a Nine, need a Biggie, need a Pop. Just my daddy for the guys, how the truth feed his life. For the kids, it's a crime, putting evil in their eyes. Should be wrong, say it's right, got a baby sympathize. Send the food and the water, putting poison in our bodies. Population getting larger, start a virus, got his water in everybody trying to get a blessing, everybody stressing, everybody trying to get a bag, everybody stressed. I'ma show these little bitty bitches how to elevate. Fuck a nigga, get a bag, make them bitches hate. And I'm all about the bag, and I'm all about my bitches. I ain't going outside, so you know it's fuck a nigga. Got Gucci on my feet, remember rockin' heel fit. I just signed a new deal, so them checks getting bigger. Checks getting bigger. Checks getting big, just signed a new deal. Checks bankroll in my pocket thicker than a stripper. That bitch riding with me thicker than a snicker. He don't want my queen, so he want my DNA. Fuck him real good, never tell him where I stay. New V on my ass, so you know my bottom's red. Come down on the stairs, we ain't make it to the bed. And I know I got my penny line on your mind. I'm the freaking kind, blow your mind every time that I come around. I wish a nigga would hit my line, bitch. I'm on the grind, tell the hoe to shake it quicker. I'm a big fucking tipper, pull up, doors open in faster than a zip. Now I don't want that little nigga, cause my pockets got bigger. Shut up, nigga, you ain't tripping, bitch, you pimping. And you ain't your shit, and your pussy water whipping. And I'ma pull up, pop out, show out. Only fuck with bad bitches, what the fuck you talking about? I'ma show these little bitty bitches how to elevate. Fuck a nigga, get a bag, make them bitches hate. And I'm all about the bag, and I'm all about my bitches. I ain't going outside, so you know it's fuck a nigga. Got Gucci on my feet, remember rockin' heel fit. I just signed a new deal, so them checks getting bigger. Checks getting big, checks getting big. Just signed a new deal, so them checks getting bigger.
Shut up! Now who sent you, nigga? Nobody sent me. Say another motherfucking word and this shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga.
Her mother would later remember this period with pride, describing how her daughter's work ethic set her apart from everyone else her age. But Bernicia wasn't content with just surviving, so she took on the stage name Alata and started pouring everything she had experienced, everything she had fought through, into her music. Her lyrics were raw, honest reflections of her life, touching on themes that resonated deeply with young people in her community. Resilience in the face of loss, navigating fake friendships, and achieving independent success despite the odds stacked against you.
Yo, what's up? It's your girl Lotta. I'm tapping in with y'all, telling y'all my new single Lil Bitch just dropped on all streaming platforms. Make sure y'all go check that out on YouTube, Apple Music, or Spotify, wherever you want to go to listen to it. My EP will be dropping soon. Make sure y'all check that out too. Just stay tuned. I love y'all.
She built her following the hard way, sharing music clips and snippets of her life on Instagram and TikTok, connecting with fans who saw themselves in her story. She wasn't pulling millions of views overnight or getting record deal offers from major labels, but she was creating genuine connections with over 23,000 followers who felt like they knew her personally. Bernicia collaborated with other local artists and performed at events throughout Cleveland, slowly building a reputation as someone to watch. Children in her neighborhood looked up to her, and other aspiring rappers wanted to work with her.
Can't wait for the premiere of the Ink video dropping soon.
I don't give a fuck what they think, and I got the flavor, got the feeling for a sleep.
I gotta think of a way to get this money by tomorrow. I gotta think of a way to get, I gotta think of a way to get this money by tomorrow.
You can sell your Beamer.
I can do what?
Sell your car.
Sell your mama's car.
But what made Bernicia truly special wasn't just her music. She was deeply committed to giving back to the community that raised her and trained with something called the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team under the guidance of her mentor, Sunseer Shakur, who also went by Alish Shakur. This wasn't some casual volunteer gig. This was an initiative focused on equipping young people with life-saving skills, teaching them how to pack gunshot wounds, knife wounds, and even bomb wounds while waiting for emergency responders to arrive. She was out there learning how to potentially save lives in a community where gun violence was an everyday reality. Shakur would later reflect on the void Bernicia left behind, emphasizing how the team continued their work in her honor, because that's what she would have wanted.
I'm here with my little brother Rich, baby, hottest youngin' in the city. We got that new song, The Blessing, about to drop. Make sure y'all go get that when the drop, tap in and fuck with us.
Say this is the face of a killer. Murder charges just filed against Michael Roarty Nugent. Detectives say he's the one who killed a missing Bedford woman. Good evening, I'm Jim Nelson. The body of Bernicia Lightfoot was just found last night in Slavic Village. Michelle Nix has the breaking developments.
26-year-old Bernicia Lightfoot has been missing since at least Tuesday. Now Bedford police confirm her body was recovered in Cleveland. Her live-in boyfriend arrested, charged with first-degree murder. The family of Bernicia Lightfoot knew something was wrong when they couldn't reach the 26-year-old on Tuesday, her birthday week. Loved ones alerted police and asked them to do a wellness check at Lightfoot's Colony Club apartment. The missing woman's phone was found lying in a yard near 59th and Chester. Then Bedford police made an unsettling discovery inside of her home. They found evidence, quote, indicating someone may have been seriously injured there, end quote. At that point, Lightfoot's live-in boyfriend, Michael Roarty Nugent, became a person of interest in her disappearance. But adding to the mystery of this case, Nugent also appeared to be missing. However, by Friday, Bedford police located the boyfriend and arrested him. Hours later, news that the body of 26-year-old Bernicia Lightfoot was discovered near East 64th and Francis Avenue, a wooded area near the city's Broadway Slavic Village neighborhood. Saturday afternoon, the victim's family and friends gathered there to hold a private balloon release and honor Lightfoot's life. Her boyfriend, Michael Roarty Nugent, now charged with her murder. Roarty Nugent has been in and out of the county's justice system over the years. Graphic images from the 19 News April 2020 archives show the murder suspect when he sued the jail, his face drenched in pepper spray after he claimed he was abused and tortured by deputies. Now the Bedford man is back in custody, charged with killing a woman he was supposed to love. The victim's exact cause of death has not been released at this time. The medical examiner's office will perform an autopsy, but her live-in boyfriend is behind bars and will face a judge on Monday morning to answer to a charge of first-degree murder.
I don't even know why I'm tripping. If I want to mess with the smoke, dog. Hey, who is that?
Them niggas that act hard. Oh, shit! But there was a darkness creeping into Bernicia's life, something that would ultimately destroy everything she was building. His name was Michael Roarty Nugent, and he was 26 years old, just like Bernicia. On the surface, maybe their relationship seemed normal to outsiders, but behind closed doors, things were far from okay. Roarty Nugent had a criminal history that spanned nearly a decade, including charges for domestic violence, drug offenses, and weapons possession. And Bernicia's family would later tell police that he had been abusive toward her, that they had witnessed his violent tendencies firsthand. But like so many people trapped in abusive relationships, Bernicia stayed. Maybe she thought he could change him, where the good moments outweighed the bad.
We are learning more about the woman found dead in Cleveland and the man arrested. Friends tell News 5 that Brianna Lightfoot was sweet and hardworking. Her body was discovered Friday night in Slavic Village. Tuesday, a concerned family member called Bedford police because they hadn't heard from her. When police checked out her apartment, they say there was evidence that someone may have been seriously injured there. Police arrested Lightfoot's boyfriend, Michael Roarty Nugent. Court records for him show a criminal history stretching about a decade for domestic violence, drugs, and weapons charges. Lightfoot's friend talked to us about losing her under tragic circumstances.
It's a surprise that it's somebody that I knew, but it's not a surprise that that something like that would happen. But just didn't think it would happen to somebody I would know and love.
Talking about his friend Bernicia there, Roarty Nugent will be in court tomorrow morning. We'll bring you what happens on television and across our digital platforms, including the News 5 Cleveland app.
Who the fuck y'all hoes be thinking y'all live? Y'all hoes ain't bad. Y'all hoes broke. Y'all hoes can't buy nothing to eat. Ain't got no car, no apartment. Bitch, you just got light. Sit the fuck down.
It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it. Fuck 'em. Fuck 'em.
On July 14th, 2023, Bernicia posted what would become her final TikTok. The video showed an argument where her sister appeared to side with Rorty Nugent instead of her. The caption was cryptic but revealing. "I thought we was family. You supposed to ride if I'm right or wrong, and I'm never wrong, even I'm wrong." Nobody watching that video could have known that just 3 days later, Bernicia Lightfoot would be dead.
Shut up! Now who sent you, nigga?
Nobody sent me.
Say another motherfucking word and this shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga.
Y'all won't catch me spending the night at no man's house. The last time I spent the night at some man's house, I heard bitches laughing in the pillow. I was asleep, I heard bitches like kiki kiki kiki.
July 17th, 2023 started like any other summer night in Bedford, Ohio. Bernicia was at her apartment, the place she shared with Rorty Nugent on Lee Road South, apartment 916. But something was different that night. Tensions were higher than usual, and an argument brewed between Rorty and Bernicia, the kind that would escalate beyond anything that had come before. According to what Rorty Nugent would later confess to detectives, the fight started over something that might seem mundane to outsiders, but clearly struck a nerve.
What's up?
What's up, y'all? So y'all go check out my show tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? A lot of I will be everywhere. Make sure y'all get that new Vicarious just dropped. Apple Music, Spotify, it's everywhere. All through Spotify.
Hit it like a billboard. Gotta spin it like a Rockefeller record. Uncharted waters like I'm white caps. Can't get off my drugs, need a relapse. All these buttons on this dashboard. Parachute ain't got no grip. I'ma take it to the candy shop.
See, Rorty Nugent had been struggling financially because of a criminal record that made finding legitimate employment nearly impossible. He had money problems that were piling up, bills that weren't getting paid, and an ego that couldn't handle the fact that his girlfriend was the one with prospects, a growing platform, and recognition. He admitted to detectives that he had been selling cocaine to make ends meet, keeping cash hidden around their apartment because he didn't have a consistent income. And according to his version of events, Bernicia had taken some of that money, which infuriated him. But here's the thing about abusive relationships. The stated reason for an argument is rarely the real reason. The fight might be about money, or jealousy, or some perceived disrespect, but what it's really about is power and control. What happened next, according to court documents and Rorty Nugent's own confession, was a violent altercation in the early morning hours of July 17th. He claimed that during the argument, Bernicia came at him with a knife. He claimed he felt threatened and was defending himself when he grabbed his gun from where it was hidden near the living room wall and fired. He didn't just fire once in a panic, but shot her multiple times, and then, instead of calling for help, he chose to clean up the murder scene. However, the neighbors in the apartment building heard the gunshots and the commotion that happened after, and then they saw Rorty Nugent dragging what looked like a body wrapped up in blankets down the apartment stairs. He loaded Bernicia's body into his vehicle and drove to a wooded area in Cleveland's Slavic Village neighborhood near East 64th Street and Francis Avenue and disposed of her like she was nothing. But Rorty wasn't done yet, as he would take Bernicia's cell phone and drive to a completely different location near East 59th Street and Chester Avenue in Cleveland. He tossed it there, probably thinking he was being smart, and by separating her phone from her body, he could buy himself time or create confusion about what had happened to her. However, security camera footage would later show him in the area where the phone was found, creating a digital trail that would help lead to his arrest. And then he went back to the apartment where blood had soaked into the floors and bullet holes marked the walls, and tried to continue with his life like nothing had happened. The next day was July 18th, which should have been a day of celebration as it was Bernice's birthday. Her family tried calling her, texting her, reaching out to wish her well, but the calls went straight to voicemail. Where was she? Why wasn't she answering? This wasn't like her. Worried sick, her family contacted the Bedford Police Department to request a welfare check. They explained their concerns about Rorty Nugent's history of abuse and violence. They explained that Bernice's phone had been abandoned near East 59th Street and Chester Avenue, and that something was very, very wrong. When officers arrived at apartment 916 on Lee Road South, they used a key from building maintenance to enter because nobody was answering the door.
Worried and scared now, a 26-year-old woman missing. Police say her boyfriend was originally a person of interest, but now he's missing too. Now at 3, 19 News reporter Winnie Dorch has the very latest.
This is Bernicia Lightfoot. No sign of the 26-year-old. Police say her phone was found lying in a yard near 59th and Chester. Inside her apartment, a scary scene. Police say evidence shows someone was seriously hurt there. Lightfoot's family reached out to Bedford Police on Tuesday asking for a welfare check. That's when they stopped by Colony Club Apartments on Turney Road. Lightfoot lives there with her boyfriend, 31-year-old Michael Rorty Nugent. Police naming him as a person of interest, but shortly finding out he is missing too. Police are unable to make contact with him, leaving police with many unanswered questions. Where is the young couple?
Due to the exigent circumstances and concern for the welfare of Bernicia Lightfoot, Bedford officers entered 501B Lee Road South, apartment 916 in the city of Bedford, county of Cuyahoga, state of Ohio, at approximately 16:16 hours with a key from maintenance, and located a large amount of apparent dried blood and bullet holes, indicating someone was seriously injured. Witnesses reported hearing gunshots and commotion around the time of the incident. The manhunt for Michael Rorty Nugent had begun. For 3 days, detectives worked around the clock to find Rorty Nugent and hopefully find Bernicia alive. But deep down, based on the evidence at the apartment, they knew what they were likely looking for was a body. And by July 21st, 2023, they finally located and arrested him. They took him in for questioning, and during the interrogation, Rorty Nugent didn't maintain his innocence. He didn't lawyer up immediately and refuse to talk. Instead, he confessed to shooting Bernicia in their apartment during the early morning hours of July 17th. And then he did something that very few killers do. He led detectives directly to where he had hidden her body and the gun he had used to kill her. Bernicia's body was recovered from the wooded area in Slavic Village, exactly where he said it would be. The medical examiner would later confirm that the trauma to her body was consistent with homicide by gunshot. The woman who had spent her final years trying to teach young people how to save lives from gunshot wounds became a victim of gun violence herself.
But I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
In 10 years, I'll be... I mean, nothing.
On July 24, 2023, Rorty Nugent appeared in Bedford Municipal Court before Judge Michelle Paris. The proceeding was brief but significant. He was formally charged with murder pursuant to Section 2903.02 of the Ohio Revised Code, a felony of the first degree. You were cited on July 21, 23. You're charged with murder pursuant to 2903.02 of the Ohio Revised Code. It's a felony of the first degree. If convicted, you're looking at the possibility of serving 15 years to a lifetime sentence, a fine up to $15,000. The judge laid out exactly what he was facing and appointed him a public defender, attorney Shireen McGee, who entered a technical plea of not guilty on his behalf. The case moved through the court system over the following months, and here's where things took an unexpected turn. Despite the brutality of the crime, the confession, and leading police to the body, the charge was ultimately reduced. In February 2024, Michael Rorty Nugent was convicted not of murder, but of involuntary manslaughter, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse.
Fuck it, everybody get naked. Let's see who pussy the best. No? Y'all like that idea? Alright, fuck it.
Yo, what's up? It's your girl Alana. I'm here to tell y'all that my new single by Curious will be dropping this Friday, June 17th. Make sure y'all tap in and go get that. It will be on all streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. Anywhere you want to go, it will be there. I will be having a single release party Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you would like to come, just DM me and I would send out all the information and locations. Make sure y'all tap in and enjoy my new single by Curious. I did it for Pride. It's a song for women and men, and I hope y'all like it. Tap in with me, y'all. Y'all won't be disappointed.
Judge Dina R. Calabrese handed down the sentence, 23 to 28.5 years in prison. It was a substantial sentence, but for Bernice's family and friends, no amount of time could ever be enough. The reduction from murder to involuntary manslaughter tells us something important about how the legal system handled this case. In Ohio, involuntary manslaughter typically applies when someone causes death without the specific intent to kill, often during the commission of another felony or through reckless behavior. The charge suggests that either a plea deal was reached or that prosecutors felt they couldn't prove premeditation beyond a reasonable doubt. But let's be clear about what actually happened here. Rorty's actions were not those of someone who accidentally caused a death, but of someone who knew exactly what he was doing and wanted to avoid consequences. The tampering with evidence and gross abuse of corpse charges acknowledge this reality. They recognize that what Rorty Nugent did after shooting Bernicia was its own form of violence, its own violation of her dignity and humanity. While Bernicia's life was being dissected in courtrooms and police reports, her community was mourning. Friends, family, and fans gathered to remember not just the rapper Alata, but the person behind the stage name. Sansir Shakur, her mentor with the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team, spoke about the impact of losing her. The program continued its work teaching young people life-saving skills, carrying on Bernicia's legacy of community service. Do you think Bernicia got enough justice for her death? Let me know what you think in the comment section.
I want to give a huge shout out to all my followers, all my supporters, anybody that has streamed Hot Topic, Hardaway, or Risky. I love you and thank you. Shout out to my team, Music the Label. Shout out to all my producers, my engineers, everybody that's been putting in work. We had 500,000 views on YouTube. 3 videos in, all 3 videos got 100K and up, and I'm finna drop again. If you got a dream, follow it. Boog the Bandit, and this was my ambassador experience.
I was able to get out of her car, and I heard her tell somebody, she's like, call EMS, I've been shot.
He's accused of shooting and killing Courtney Bruce, known by her stage name, Boog the Bandit.
This is Courtney Nicole Bruce, a 26-year-old aspiring rapper who would be found dead on May 20th, 2021. Her body riddled with bullets after an attempted robbery gone wrong. But before we uncover how this promising artist's life was stolen in Columbus, Ohio, let me take you back to September 7th, 1994, where the journey of Boog the Bandit first began. A journey tragically cut short just as she was achieving everything she had dreamed of, leaving behind a devastated family, a heartbroken fan base, and 3 men who would face justice.
DM and DM again. Everybody want to know how I started modeling. Long story short, I went up to New York, met some of the best people I have ever encountered in my whole entire life.
The story of Courtney Nicole Bruce, better known as Boog the Bandit, speaks to American struggle, ambition, and resilience. Born and raised on the challenging east side of Columbus, Ohio, Courtney grew up where opportunities were scarce, where the odds were stacked against young people trying to escape cycles of poverty and violence. Her journey had profound setbacks. Before music became her salvation, Courtney faced serious legal troubles that resulted in a 2-year prison sentence for conspiracy to commit bank fraud, serving from 2017 until her release in 2019. For many, prison becomes the end of their story, but for Courtney, it became a transformative catalyst.
She got that shit now.
Yeah, she do.
She got that shit now. That shit sound like bug now.
Upon release, she underwent what those close to her described as a spiritual awakening, leading her to get baptized on Valentine's Day. This spiritual transformation became the foundation upon which she would build her entire music career, infusing her lyrics with an authenticity and vulnerability that was rare in the often hardened world of hip-hop. But before she fully embraced her identity as a rapper, Courtney had already begun establishing herself in another creative arena entirely, the world of urban fashion modeling, where she worked with prestigious brands including Chris Brown's Black Pyramid clothing line and Rob Kardashian's Arthur George socks collection, using her striking presence and magnetic personality to make connections and build a platform that would eventually serve her music career.
I'm famous now. Please do not touch me. I'm famous now. Please do not touch me.
Then came April of 2020, a pivotal moment that would mark the official beginning of her journey as Boog the Bandit. She released her debut single titled Lonely, a deeply personal track that immediately resonated with listeners who heard something different in her voice. She rapped about loneliness, about emptiness, about the universal human need for love and affection, about the aching desire to be seen and understood and valued. Topics that might seem soft or weak in a genre that often prizes toughness and invulnerability above all else. Her musical style was deliberately unconventional for Columbus, blending traditional hip-hop elements with pop influences drawn from artists like Justin Bieber and Billie Eilish, creating a sound that was melodic, emotionally accessible, and designed to appeal to audiences far beyond the typical hip-hop demographic. Following Lonely, she released a string of singles that would cement her rising status: Hot Topic, Hard Away, and Risky, each track building upon the momentum of the last, each video racking up views at an impressive pace, each release bringing her closer to the breakthrough moment that seemed inevitable. Each of her music videos surpassed 100,000 views on YouTube, with her collective catalog reaching 500,000 total views. Metrics that might seem modest compared to established stars, but which represented extraordinary growth for an independent artist from Columbus, Ohio, working with limited resources and competing for attention in an oversaturated market.
I want to give a huge shout out to all my followers, all my supporters, anybody that has streamed Hot Topic, Harder Way, or Risky. I love you and thank you. Shout out to my team, Music the Label. Shout out to all my producers, my engineers, everybody that's been putting in work. We had 500,000 views on YouTube, 3 videos in. All 3 videos got 100K and up, and I'm finna drop again.
Her talent didn't go unnoticed by industry gatekeepers and tastemakers. She caught the attention of DJ Academics, one of hip-hop's most influential media personalities, whose cosign could make or break careers. And more significantly, she began collaborating with established artist Trippie Redd, a partnership that promised to expose her music to millions of new listeners and potentially catapult her into a completely different tier of fame and success.
Courtney was a hot tomato. Spicy.
Most importantly, she signed with Music the Label Inc., an exclusive affiliate of Atlantic Records, one of the music industry's most powerful and well-connected major labels. A deal that represented validation, resources, and the infrastructure necessary to take her career to the next level.
In Atlanta too, either or for real, just not Pensacola.
Leave the city, basically.
Yes.
Leave the city.
Despite all these promising developments, Courtney made a decision that would later haunt her mother with devastating what-ifs. Rather than relocating to Atlanta, where she believed her music career would flourish more safely, Courtney chose to remain in her hometown, driven by her devotion to her mother, Wanda Bruce, a medical assistant whom Courtney felt needed her support. This choice, made out of love and family loyalty, would prove fatal. Her mother, Wanda Bruce, would later describe her daughter as stubborn, fiercely independent, someone who knew exactly who she was, but also someone with a big personality and a future that seemed limitless.
She had a big personality and a big future ahead of her. That's how Courtney Bruce, better known as Boog the Bandit's mom, described the up-and-coming rapper.
She almost made it.
Wanda Bruce says her 26-year-old daughter was stubborn, but loved rapping.
On that fateful day, Courtney was sitting in a car with a 25-year-old male companion on the 3700 block of Dort Place, a location forever marked by tragedy. What happened next would be pieced together through witness statements, 911 calls, and the perpetrator's confessions. A group of 3 armed men, Kyson Murphy, age 22, Jumada Williams II, age 19, and Sincere McIntyre, age 17, approached the vehicle in a premeditated ambush. Murphy had lured Courtney and her companion to that location under false pretenses, using the promise of either a drug transaction or a music video shoot. Exactly the kind of offer an ambitious young rapper would have little reason to question. This was the setup, the betrayal, the moment when trust was weaponized and opportunity became a death sentence. The male companion, understanding the gravity of the situation and the very real threat to their lives, decided to comply with the robber's demands, surrendering cash, jewelry, and his cell phone without resistance, hoping that cooperation would be enough to satisfy the armed men and allow both of them to escape with their lives intact. But Courtney, true to her stubborn, defiant nature that her mother had described, made a different choice, one that would seal her fate in the most tragic way imaginable. Rather than complying, she resisted the robbery attempt, refusing to be victimized, refusing to surrender everything she had worked for, refusing to make it easy for these men who had ambushed her. Sincere McIntyre, the youngest of the 3 assailants, at just 17 years old, responded to her defiance by pistol whipping her, using his weapon as a blunt instrument to beat her into submission, to punish her for not following orders, to make an example of what happens when you don't cooperate.
For her to get pistol whipped and shot in the chest and multiple times, I heard, that wasn't called for, even though she put up a fight.
But the violence didn't end there. When the beating failed to break her spirit, when she continued to resist despite the assault, Sincere made the fatal decision to pull the trigger, shooting Courtney multiple times in the chest, bullets tearing through her body and destroying organs and blood vessels and the very essence of life itself.
I was driving by and I heard pop, pop.
The scene that followed was chaotic, desperate, and ultimately futile. Her companion, acting with admirable presence of mind despite the trauma of what he had just witnessed, managed to drive Courtney to Mount Carmel East Hospital, racing against time, hoping against hope that medical intervention could save her life, that emergency room doctors could repair the catastrophic damage that bullets had inflicted on her young body.
She's not breathing well.
Witnesses would later report seeing her stumble out of the vehicle and into the emergency room under her own power. But the wounds were too severe, the damage too extensive, the loss of blood too catastrophic. Despite the best efforts of medical professionals, Courtney Nicole Bruce was pronounced dead at 6:11 p.m. that evening, her life ending at the age of just 26 years old, her dreams, ambitions, and potential all extinguished by senseless violence in an hospital emergency room while her killers fled the scene with their stolen goods. And what exactly did they steal? The assailants made off with over $13,000 in cash that Courtney was carrying, along with jewelry and electronic devices. Money that likely represented her earnings from music, from shows, from the hard work she had put into building her career. Money that she might have been carrying to invest in her next project, or to support her mother, or simply because she had earned it and it was hers.
She did worry about her safety.
I always been nervous because I'm a mom. I always worry about her safety, her being small, petite.
The immediate aftermath of Courtney's murder was too shocking. Her mother, Wanda, was left to grapple with a grief so profound, so all-consuming that words seemed inadequate to describe it. The investigation into Courtney's murder moved with surprising speed, with Columbus police working to identify and apprehend those responsible.
Police have arrested a 22-year-old man and charged him with the death of a Columbus rapper. Kyson Murphy is charged with murder and aggravated robbery. He's accused of shooting and killing Courtney Bruce, known by her stage name, Boog the Bandit. Bruce was killed during an attempted robbery back in May.
But what followed was a legal process that stretched 3 agonizing years, from the murder in 2021 to final sentencing in 2024. Leaving Courtney's family unable to fully grieve or find closure. All 3 men, Kyson Murphy, Jumada Williams II, and Sincere McIntyre, were eventually charged, though the sentences they received would become controversial. with many observers arguing the punishment failed to match the magnitude of the crime. In 2024, rather than face trials, all 3 defendants accepted plea agreements. Sincere McIntyre, the 17-year-old who pulled the trigger, pled guilty to murder and received life in prison with parole possible after 18 years, meaning he could be released in his mid-30s while Courtney remains dead at 26. Jumada Williams II pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter and aggravated robbery, receiving 20 to 25 and a half years. Kyson Murphy, the 22-year-old who orchestrated the scheme and lured the victims under false pretenses, received what many consider the most controversial sentence, just 12 to 16 and a half years, thanks to his cooperation with prosecutors. This relatively lenient sentence for the man whose planning made the crime possible struck many as fundamentally unjust. At the sentencing hearings, Courtney's family members addressed the court and the defendants, making these young men understand the full scope of what they had destroyed. Wanda Bruce delivered victim impact statements describing the daughter she had lost, the dreams never realized, and the music never created. Her Aunt Sharon Richardson also spoke, questioning whether these sentences truly represented justice.
Even though she put up a fight.
Wanda says she never thought her daughter would be taken like this.
I always been nervous because I'm a mom. I always worry about her safety, her being small, petite.
The official narrative, as presented by law enforcement and confirmed through court proceedings and the defendant's own confessions, is relatively straightforward. This was a premeditated robbery that escalated to murder when the victim resisted, a tragic case of criminals targeting someone they believed to be carrying significant amounts of cash, with violence erupting when their plans didn't go as smoothly as they had hoped. According to this interpretation, there was nothing personal about the attack, no deeper motive beyond simple greed, no conspiracy or jealousy or calculated attempt to stop Courtney's rising career, just 3 young men making terrible decisions that resulted in an irreversible tragedy. But on the internet, particularly on YouTube, social media platforms, and hip-hop discussion forums, a very different narrative has emerged and gained significant traction, presenting theories that challenge the official robbery narrative and suggest that Courtney was actually targeted specifically because of her rising success, because of the attention she was receiving, because of her label deal and her collaborations and her growing platform. That jealousy, envy, and the desire to prevent her from making it out were the real motivations behind what happened that day on Dort Place. This theory gains additional emotional resonance when considering what Wanda Bruce herself said about her daughter's situation in Columbus versus Atlanta.
When you're trying to climb out of the pit, it was somebody trying to...
These words, spoken by a grieving mother trying to make sense of senseless violence, have been interpreted by some as suggesting that Wanda herself suspected that jealousy played a role, that people in Columbus couldn't handle watching Courtney succeed, that her ascent was cut short not by random criminals, but by individuals who specifically wanted to prevent her rise. The broader context of violence in Columbus adds another layer to understanding this tragedy. Courtney's death was the 75th homicide in Columbus that year, a statistic that casts undershadow on the epidemic of gun violence plaguing urban communities across America, where young people are caught in cycles of poverty, crime, and retaliation that claim lives with devastating regularity. The questions are endless, and the what-ifs are torturous. What if Courtney had moved to Atlanta as planned?
I would say working with Courtney was actually an amazing experience. She was a cool individual. You know, she dropped a lot of gems. Someone like Boog, I learned a lot. So she was a very inspirational person. She knew what she wanted. She was different. She stood out. She really wasn't like anyone else. She was her own person, you know. I would have thought that was the last time I would have saw Boog, but hey, I'm glad to have met her and just crossed paths with her and made some amazing work.
What if she hadn't resisted the robbery? What if she had been somewhere else, anywhere else, on May 20th, 2021? Would she still be alive today? The broader context of violence in Columbus adds another layer to understanding this tragedy. Courtney's death wasn't just the 75th homicide in the city that year. It was a symptom of a much deeper, much older problem, one that plays out in neighborhoods across America every single day. Because when you zoom out from the individual case, you start to see the pattern. Columbus, like many major cities in the United States, has been grappling with a steady rise in gun violence driven by poverty, limited economic mobility, and social environments where young people often grow up surrounded by danger long before they ever experience safety. For countless families, violence isn't an isolated event. It's a constant shadow, shaping decisions, limiting dreams, and cutting potential short before it ever has a chance to bloom. In communities like the East Side where Courtney grew up, kids are often forced to navigate realities that most Americans only hear about on the news. They grew up seeing friends shot, hearing sirens at night, and losing people they love before they even reach adulthood. These aren't just statistics, they're stories of interrupted futures. And in Courtney's case, one of those futures belonged to someone who was finally escaping that cycle, finally building something, finally making it out. But that's the cruel paradox. These communities often produce the strongest, most ambitious, most creative individuals, people like Courtney, yet they also face the greatest risks when their success becomes visible. Rising talent can spark admiration, but it can also spark envy, resentment, and a dangerous sense of, you don't deserve to leave while the rest of us are stuck here. In neighborhoods where survival mode is the default, success can unintentionally make someone a target. It's a heartbreaking pattern seen in many tragedies beyond Courtney's case. Young artists, athletes, and entrepreneurs losing their lives just before reaching the turning point they'd fought so hard for. And when a promising life is taken in this way, it highlights the broader question: how many other Courtneys are out there? How many young people are climbing out of impossible circumstances only to have their futures stolen in an instant? For Courtney's family, these aren't abstract discussions. They are living with a permanent absence, a daughter, a niece, a friend, someone who had the talent, the drive, and the heart to become something extraordinary. And instead of watching her career rise, they were left planning a funeral, facing a legal process that would drag on for years, and trying to make sense of a world where a young woman can work so hard to change her life, only for violence to take it.
Don't you know I sit around with my head hanging down, and I wonder. Come on, Toya. Come on, baby.
This is LaToya Acree, a 41-year-old mother of 3, grandmother, and soul singer with a voice that could shake the heavens. But on September 18, 2021, this woman would be found dead in her own driveway, shot through the chest by the son she had raised and sheltered despite his violent behavior. But what could drive a son to pull a trigger and end his mother's life in such a brutal manner? What dark secret had she discovered that night that would seal her fate? Before I reveal the shocking truth that led to this execution, let me take you back to November 23, 1979, where this tragedy began. LaToya Clara Acree came into this world in Virginia, born to parents Telia Acree and Milton Carpenter, raised in a supportive family environment that emphasized faith and community. She was the granddaughter of Sterling and Clara Acree, growing up with values that would shape her into the woman she would become. From her earliest days, LaToya showed a passion for music and performance, singing in the Mount Hope Combined Mass Choir at Mount Hope Baptist Church, her voice rising above the congregation with power that made people stop and listen. She participated in musical plays at a local recreation center in Fredericksburg, her talent evident to anyone who witnessed her performances. Her early religious experiences at Antioch Baptist Church in Champlain, Virginia, shaped her worldview, encouraging her to inspire others to trust in a higher power, even when life threw devastating challenges at them.
Verbally, we agreed it was over, and we were through.
We can't be friends. We can't be friends.
Latoya wasn't just a singer with dreams floating in the clouds. This woman was a doer, a builder, someone who understood that dreams required action and dedication. After completing high school, she pursued vocational training and earned a cosmetology license from Paul Mitchell The School in Woodbridge. She operated a successful salon for years, obtained a phlebotomy certificate in healthcare, and an associate's degree in criminal justice from Germanna Community College. By her late 30s, with her children reaching young adulthood and beginning to carve out their own paths in life, Latoya focused intensely on self-improvement and creative pursuits that had been simmering in her soul for decades. She enrolled in Walden University to study social work, aiming to help others professionally, to take her natural compassion and turn it into a career that could change lives. Simultaneously, she began modeling and taking paid singing gigs.
Soon as I get home. Make it up to you. So, yes, someday.
Covering popular soul songs that resonated deeply with local audiences who had been starved for genuine talent. Her powerful voice, often compared to Whitney Houston's in its incredible range and raw emotion, caught the attention of the Washington, D.C. area band True Soul. Joining in 2019, Latoya quickly became a standout member, traveling across the South to perform in bars, clubs, and events, her voice filling venues with a soul-stirring power that left audiences speechless. Bandmates like lead singer Caesar Roy praised her rapid rise, noting she was just starting to take off, with potential in both music and acting.
She's had a lot of confidence issues in the beginning. She had lost, 100 pounds. She got a new boyfriend. She was really, really happy. It seemed like things were just turned around for her.
She had recently landed a role in an independent film shot in Washington, another dream materializing before her eyes. Marketing director Pam Gallahan, a close friend who witnessed Latoya's journey firsthand, remembered her as genuine, good-hearted, and someone who befriended everyone she met. But Latoya's transformation extended far beyond her career achievements and artistic pursuits. Struggling with her physical health amid a demanding performance schedule that required stamina and energy, she embarked on a rigorous weight loss journey that would shock everyone who knew her. Through consistent diet changes, relentless workouts, and the kind of discipline that most people only dream of possessing, she shed over 200 pounds. She transitioned from self-conscious social media posts where she would only show angled face shots, hiding from the camera's judgment, to confident full-body images that celebrated every inch of her hard-earned transformation. Her captions exuded self-love, such as, "You getting your vitamin D and work in progress, but ain't nothing wrong with loving yourself." Messages that inspired others who were struggling with their own journeys, their own demons, their own battles with self-acceptance. But tragically and heartbreakingly, Latoya's home life contrasted sharply with her glowing public persona. She raised 3 children largely alone, providing for them diligently, working multiple jobs and hustling to ensure they had food on the table, clothes on their backs, and a roof over their heads. Her youngest son, Elijah DeMont Smith, born around 2000, lived with her at the time of the incident that would end her life. Elijah was unemployed, undisciplined, and prone to moodiness and entitlement, a young man who seemed to believe the world owed him something simply for existing. He had a documented history of violence that should have served as a warning sign, including a prior assault on his own brother who had intervened during a mother-son argument. Latoya had set basic house rules, such as prohibiting him from bringing women home for intimate encounters, designed to maintain respect within the household. But Elijah repeatedly disregarded these rules, treating his mother's home like a hotel where he could do whatever he pleased without consequences. Despite his increasingly problematic behavior and violent outbursts, LaToya gave him multiple chances to change, to become the man she knew he could be. She was unable to abandon him to the streets, a decision rooted in her compassionate nature, but ultimately and fatally misguided. This would be the compassion that killed her. On September 17, 2021, LaToya returned home from a trip, probably looking forward to peace before the domestic violence awareness performance her band was scheduled to give the next day. She walked through her front door to discover Elijah violating her rules by engaging in intimate activities with a woman in the house. She confronted him immediately, demanding that he pack his things and leave, finally drawing a line after years of tolerating his behavior. This was a mother who had reached her breaking point. The argument spilled into the driveway around 12:30 in the morning on September 18th, voices raised, emotions high. As Elijah loaded his belongings into his car, he made a decision that would destroy multiple lives. He pointed a gun through the passenger side window and fired a single shot into LaToya's chest at close range. Neighbors, jolted awake by the unmistakable crack of gunfire, immediately called 911, their hands probably shaking as they dialed, their hearts pounding as they tried to explain what they had heard. Deputies from the Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office arrived within minutes to find LaToya critically wounded in the driveway of her Pond Oreille Drive home, blood pooling beneath her body, her life slipping away with every passing second. Despite immediate CPR from first responders and rapid transport to a hospital where doctors fought desperately to save her life, she was pronounced dead from the catastrophic upper body gunshot wound that had torn through vital organs and blood vessels.
A woman who was known for her powerful singing voice was shot and killed early Saturday morning. Police say her son pulled the trigger. Northern Virginia Bureau reporter Drew Wilder has more on the murder of LaToya Acree.
And that's the case that happened here as related to LaToya Acree and her son. This boy was running wild. She could not control him.
Elijah didn't stay at the scene, nor he call for help or render aid to the mother who had given him life. Instead, he fled like the coward he had always been, heading to a nearby 4 Mile Fork motel with the same woman who had been at the center of the confrontation, probably thinking he could escape justice, probably believing he could outrun the consequences of murdering his own mother in cold blood. But authorities tracked him to that motel, surrounded the building, and arrested him without incident. A thorough search of his vehicle uncovered the murder weapon and a shell casing, physical evidence that would prove beyond any shadow of doubt that Elijah DeMont Smith had executed his mother. The investigation would reveal even more disturbing details about Elijah's background and mindset. He had been out on bond for an unrelated assault charge at the time of the murder, already in trouble with the law, already demonstrating that he was a danger to those around him. Reports from family members and acquaintances painted a picture of someone who felt entitled to everything, refused to work, lived off his mother's generosity, while showing her nothing but contempt and disrespect. He had a documented history of violence within the family, including the assault on his brother, that should have been a massive red flag about his capacity for harm. The irony of the timing made the tragedy even more painful to process. True Soul, LaToya's band, had been preparing for a performance specifically designed to raise awareness about domestic violence, scheduled for the day after her murder. She was supposed to be on that stage, using her powerful voice to advocate for victims, to shine a light on the epidemic of family violence, to be a beacon of hope for those trapped in dangerous situations. Instead, she became another statistic, another victim and name added to the countless women killed by family members in domestic disputes that escalate beyond the point of return. The band would eventually perform that show, but it became a memorial for LaToya rather than a performance with her, a tribute to a life cut short rather than a celebration of her rising talent. They wore purple, shared resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and dedicated every note to the memory of a woman who had worked so hard to transform herself, to chase her dreams, to finally live the life she had always deserved. Caesar Roy, the lead singer who had watched LaToya's star begin to rise, had to perform while grieving the loss of a bandmate, a friend, a sister in music who would never again stand beside him on stage. Elijah was charged with second-degree murder and use of a firearm in a felony, serious charges carrying decades behind bars. A preliminary hearing in April 2022 certified the charges to a grand jury. The trial began in January 2023, more than a year after LaToya's death. Prosecutors emphasized the intentional nature of the act. Elijah had fired through his car window after an escalation, making a conscious choice to point a gun at his mother and pull the trigger. The defense pushed for a reduction to voluntary manslaughter based on heat of passion arguments, but the jury convicted him on the original charges. Sentencing occurred on April 14, 2023. Judge Ricardo Rigual imposed 44 years imprisonment, suspending 10 years for an effective 34-year term that meant Elijah, age 23, could be released around age 56 with good behavior. This aligned with Virginia's sentencing guidelines for second-degree murder, which range from 5 to 40 years. But for LaToya's family, the sentence felt like an insult to her memory. Kiana Carpenter, LaToya's niece, emerged as the most vocal family member, articulating the collective pain and dissatisfaction. Standing outside the courthouse, she stated, "My aunt didn't deserve this. He's a threat to society, family or not. If he could kill again, I'm sure he would. I forgive him, but I'll never forget." But Kiana's sentiments intensified in a social media post following the sentencing, capturing widespread attention in true crime communities. "My cousin was sentenced to 34 years in prison for killing my aunt. 34 still just don't seem like enough to me." It isn't. 34 years is a slap on the wrist for executing the woman who gave you life. A woman who raised you, protected you, and still let you stay after you'd assaulted her. A woman who is finally chasing her dreams, finally living for herself, finally happy, and had it all taken away over a petty, pathetic act of disrespect. LaToya deserved so much more. Carpenter's words portrayed the sentence as failing to honor LaToya's remarkable transformation. From a cosmetologist running her own salon and struggling with her weight, to a rising star in true soul who had lost over 200 pounds, who was set to perform at a domestic violence awareness event the day after her death, who had finally found the happiness that had eluded her for so long. Other family members contributed to the narrative of loss, though less directly critiquing the sentence than Kiana had. LaToya's sister Shauna Parrish focused on memorializing her through a GoFundMe campaign for funeral expenses, describing LaToya as an inspiration who wasn't afraid to go after her dreams, a woman who had shown others that transformation was possible, that it was never too late to chase what you wanted, that weight and age and obstacles were just challenges to overcome rather than reasons to give up. To further contextualize this case within Virginia's legal framework, sentencing guidelines allowed judicial discretion, and Elijah's 34-year term reflects various considerations like his youth at the time of the crime and his lack of prior murder convictions. Yet for the family, for those who knew LaToya, for those who watched her transform herself and chase her dreams only to have it all ripped away in an instant, the sentence terribly undermined what they saw as systemic shortcomings in addressing violence within families, particularly when sons kill mothers who have sacrificed everything for them. Comparable cases involving second-degree murders within families often see similar sentencing ranges across Virginia. But the emotional factors surrounding LaToya's case, her church involvement that had shaped her faith and values, her incredible weight loss journey that inspired so many others, her rising artistic career that was just beginning to take off, her domestic violence advocacy work that made her murder even more ironic, intensified the sense that the punishment failed to match the crime.
But at the end of the day, it was the way she raised him that turned him into this dysfunctional male, because the bad seed that everybody wants to say that he was planted by the mother.
Was it really the mother, or just a son who wanted to live his life the way he had fashioned it? Let me know what you think in the comment section below.
This is a remake of Me 79. I'd be so happy if you join me. Thank you so much. We belong together, and you know that I'm right. Why do you play with my heart? Why do you play with my mind? When I can't sleep at night without holding you tight, girl, each time I try, I just break down and cry. Pain in my head, or I'd rather be dead, spinning around and around.
Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.